Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. It's the middle of the week, finally. This week is flying by. And did the tap, do you hear the tap in there? I was just getting it ready to go, Candace, as we roll in here. I was making sure I can hear it in my headphones as we go. So mic tap. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Coffee crew rolling in. Thanks for watching. And if you're joining us live and it's your first time, don't be afraid to leave a comment. We talk about our TFSAs. We talk about investing. We talk about vacations a lot of times as well, but conversations for you. And don't be afraid to say hi. A good group of, typically all of us, I think, are Canadians for the most part on the stream. So if you have a question about an investment, TFSA, that kind of thing, great place to answer the questions. And if you're watching on the replay, thanks. Appreciate it as well. Always know it's not always easy to catch us live. So if you do want to catch us live, though, we go Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock to about 8:30, 8:45. We get in there. Been busier lately, so the streams have been cutting a little bit short just because of work, but that's a good thing because more work means more money to invest eventually, which is all good. So here we go. Without further ado, don't forget as well all that good YouTube stuff, like the stream, subscribe, all that kind of good thing. Like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Paul, good morning. Good to have you here. And you made it. So hopefully you're still here, catching in early, I guess, before the stream. I didn't get around to posting the stream last night. Kind of everything got away from me, but posted earlier this morning. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for saying hi. If you're not able to make it, I know people work and do all that kind of stuff, but even just a hello is awesome. And Candace, hopefully you're doing well on the mend and feeling better day by day. Coffee and donuts, maybe no donuts. I know you're just starting to eat better and all that kind of good stuff. So maybe no donuts, but you can't give up coffee. We'll give your joke. These are good ones. This is a good one today. Again, what's the unicorn's favorite type of investment? High stake ventures, because she's always looking to horn in on the action. So high stakes ventures. Let me know in the comments if you have any investments in your portfolio. Anybody that are high stakes, that you are speculative, maybe a little risky. Let us know if there's anything that you have in your mind. And Stan, good morning. Good to have you here. As always, the crew is rolling in, and MC is here. Good morning. And Dave72, channel member. Awesome. Great to have you back. And great to see you. I've got my cat meowing out there, so she actually might come in because the door's open today. Nadia, hi. Good to have you here. Happy hump day to Nadia and everybody else. Yeah, it's finally Wednesday this week. This week's literally flown by so far. Now that I've said this, it'll probably drag on, but it's been a good fast week so far as well. Can't believe it's waking up. I look at the thing, I'm like, can't believe it's Wednesday. So, and oh, there you go. Yeah, so you're on the heart smart. I know the heart smart diet. Believe me. Yeah, you have to limit your liquids. And there's the cat right there walking in front with the tail. And I didn't shut my door today. And then watch your sodium. Yeah, the big thing, Candace, is watch sodium in. Really try and cut back as much as possible. Anything that is kind of pre-made, pre-made sauces, pre-made dressings, pre-made like food and that kind of stuff, frozen food, that kind of thing that's pre-made. Try and make everything as much as possible from scratch, and not have the pre-packaged stuff. Just as a reminder on that kind of stuff. It's and you'll feel better. Believe me. I cut back sodium actually in my diet a few years ago as well. Same thing. So I feel you. And Justin, good morning. Yeah, I did read that a little bit of it. I haven't dug too deep into it. It is it's all over kind of Twitter. Ledger's done some updates with their, and I use a Ledger for my crypto. They've done an update where there's a new. I have to really dig into it more, Justin, but there's a new feature where they'll basically hold or keep, they say, secure your seed phrase for your wallet in a secure server, I guess. So that will kind of bring it off of your ledger. So they're in a bit of hot water for that. just in terms of privacy and also the potential for basically for hacking it is I think some concern. It was kind of just yesterday that came out, Justin, so I haven't read a ton into it. I actually had an email from Ledger this morning. I didn't get a chance to read it yet, but they were talking about it. So maybe I don't know. I think there might have just been some maybe some misunderstanding of how they marketed it. I don't know fully. So she's gone already, Nadia. She's gone. She's left. Doesn't like to get picked up that much. And there you go. Yeah. So it's basically a feature. Yeah. It makes it like essentially, yeah. So it's not, can connect like connecting to the internet like that. So, and it can create exactly, Candace, some are worried that they haven't been hacked. Obviously their kind of one of their claims to fame is hasn't been hacked yet, but this can potentially, I guess, open up more doors to hackers to be able to do that. And I think the workaround, from what I understand, is not updating it. That's one thing that I quickly kind of read is don't update the latest. They always tend to say try and keep everything updated to the latest software, but don't necessarily, if you're concerned about it, don't update it. And we'll see what happens down the road. I have a feeling they're maybe going to backpedal a little bit on this and give maybe some options for people to give some people maybe some options to downgrade their operating system on it or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I've been okay with it. I'm not going to sign up for that. I don't see the point. But yeah, it's an easy way. We'll make it. I mean, I don't know about easier necessarily, but more opportunity, I guess, would be to this, to be able to try and hack that or hack into their servers, right? Because there's information now everywhere. So. And there we go. Let's look on the bright side. Yeah, maybe more reasons to invest in more stocks. Don't put your money in crypto, or some or purchase, possibly, if you're investing in that, the class of investments is into ETFs that hold Bitcoin. From what I understand, I don't have any other than that one and a bit Solana I have on Wealthsimple. I don't have any crypto on there, but from my understanding as well, Wealthsimple is a fairly secure place to if you're wanting to hold that. In terms of an exchange, but it's always the best to kind of keep it in your own custody. And of course, now Ledger's done this, and we got to figure out what we're going to do. So, but there is also other alternatives, right, Justin? And everybody's kind of watching there. I mean, there's the Trezor wallet. There is other alternatives. Ledger was just one of the most popular ones. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, more reasons to invest in stocks. And I guess on that note, has anybody bought anything? The market seems to be doing okay today. Tesla had I did listen yesterday to Tesla's. Last night didn't get a chance to listen to it live, but Tesla had their investor day yesterday, and looks like the reaction from the market this morning was pretty good. So that's kind of nice. I am a little bit overexposed in a bit more than I would normally be in my portfolio with Tesla, but I think for long term that's going to be hopefully a good investment. Obviously not any kind of financial advice, but seems to be doing good, okay today, which is nice, but that could change tomorrow. Who knows? Again, long term. Everything in my portfolio is kind of long, for the most part, long-term holds, unless I see some opportunity to possibly sell some stuff off for a bit of profit and roll it into an ETF or something like that. But yeah, more reasons to invest in stocks. On that note, with crypto and like that, I have a very small percentage of my portfolio in crypto, and it's definitely risky. But I see maybe down the road it might it's just something I purchase small. I essentially Bitcoin, and just have I do small little purchases every once in a while over on ShakePay, and I use the ShakePay for my I do use it from time to time for my tap, so it gives me cash back in Bitcoin, but other than that, don't have huge purchases in that, other than say BTCY in my in my TFSA as well. So and I've actually started to use a little bit. I've started to test it out a little bit to try it out. Is that the Wealthsimple wallet, which seems to work all right too, because I finally loaded my card up onto my phone, so I have put some money over there, and they do cash back as well. You can put it into any of your portfolios with cash back. So kind of new. And Jersey, yeah, it's still going. It's still crazy over there. I know that. Yeah, lots of smoke. So keep your windows closed. I don't know. I've got friends still in Alberta, and they were mentioning the same thing. Really smoky. So far in the West Coast here, we're okay. Hasn't blown over here or anything like that, or no forest fires that I'm aware of have started. It seems to be impacting Alberta mostly. Yeah, it's not good. And oh, you can see the hate. You can see it in Edmonton and smell it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how it can spread, and it just really depends. I remember in the Lower Mainland, we had smoke before, fires from coming up in Washington State, even blowing up. Just depends on the wind, which is it can make things pretty awful. So. And Dave added, we did some TELUS and EIT.UN on your Wealthsimple. Awesome. Yeah, I still want to add some TELUS onto mine. Recently I've only actually been just reinvesting for probably the last 2 quarters. I haven't bought. I'd have to look back, but I don't think I haven't really added to that. I'll maybe take a look at that to start to add a little bit more as well for TELUS. But other than rolling in the dividends as they come through. Did anybody check yesterday about and check on their account if they can do the automatic dividend reinvestment? I posted that video yesterday. I haven't turned it on just because I kind of like doing it myself, and I'm pretty active on it. I think it's probably maybe better for people that aren't as active, in your account and have kind of stuff set up maybe a bit more on autopilot to do. If you're buying an index fund or something like that, an ETF on the regular, and you want to make sure that your dividends get reinvested without you having to pay much attention, it might be something worthwhile to turn on. So I haven't. I typically reinvest them all anyways back into the TFSA, but I like to share on my community tab, right, for members what comes in and what gets reinvested. So I kind of have easier to do that myself, and then I know exactly what's kind of happened and when it happens and that kind of thing. So I won't be turning that on. It would be nice to see though, if you could choose individual. I mean, this might be coming as a feature in the future, but like choose individual investments to put your dividends possibly into. If something comes in, there might be some you might not want to reinvest for whatever reason. You might want to reallocate them somewhere else. So it'd be nice to maybe choose if you want them reinvested or not. And if it's perhaps not, you could go in and do it yourself. But as it sits right now, it's kind of an all or nothing. And so I'm going to assume it's obviously for the fractional shares. You can't get a fractional purchase of a company or whatever that doesn't offer fractional purchases. So you'll have some, if you have those giving dividends, you will have some cash in your account. But it'd be nice to maybe select the individual stocks and ETFs. Like for example, if I received a dividend from VDY, I'm going to throw it right back into VDY, and it'd be nice to select yes or no for each one. So maybe that's a feature. Maybe that's where a feature that was coming. So. You're the same as me, Jerks. You kind of choose to where to go. They typically go into the same ones for the most part, but sometimes no. Like sometimes it'll just really depends on how I'm looking at it. What's the day? If I see something that maybe that's down. If, for example, like if I get a dividend from something and maybe TELUS is down a little bit in price that day, I might throw it into TELUS just to see. But it's also kind of keeps you on top of what you're doing, if you actually do it yourself a little bit. So gives you something to do. And yeah, so that kind of does make sense, right? Not doing, you're with Wealthsimple or National Bank. So yeah, so exactly. There's no commission, right? So it's you can kind of do as you choose, and go with that. The ones that go fractional, I typically just reinvest into it. The ones that aren't fractional, like SOT, I still have that. I'll have usually some extra cash sitting in the account, a couple dollars, and I'll just try and round it up to a share if I'm able to. And it seems to work okay so far. But I know that was a feature that some people were kind of looking for, Dave, just to make things a little bit simpler. But if you really want it like pure autopilot, is the robo advisor side works really well because it just does it all for you as it comes in, keeps it in cash for a bit, and then as it comes in, it reinvests it. So And I've actually turned on, like for the Wealthsimple Cash part, because I've added that card, finally added the card to my wallet. They do 1% cash back, and you can put that into your account too. And it'll, if it goes into like one of the robo advisor sides, it'll start to invest it. I mean, not instantly because of the amount necessarily, but it'll put it in there, just sitting in cash. And then once there's enough, it'll make a purchase. So seems to work okay. They seem to be adding more and more features. I actually read an article yesterday. I should have saved it. It was on a website that popped up on my news feed. And Wealthsimple's, I don't think they've announced it yet, but it was talking about how they are going to, because there's the CDIC insurance, right? So if your money's in an account at a bank, and you get, the account is basically for $100,000 CDIC more protection, right? Wealthsimple, because they use other banks for their savings, right? And it's split between other things. Apparently, they're going to be announcing that they'll be insured, of an account insured up to like a cash account insured up to $400,000. So I read that yesterday. So I haven't seen anything kind of formal on that, but it's kind of found that interesting. It'd be nice. It would be a nice position to be in, to have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that, but it's just kind of interesting what they're doing. And yeah, how's the robo? The robo, you know what? It's doing okay. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it. It's doing. I mean, it's in my RSP and Alira Jerksey, so it's not a TFSA, but so they're not the same investments and the same like I don't have the same amount. You know, I'm not putting the same amounts in each to try and see who does better, me or the robo. Robo's probably doing better than me if you look at the big picture, but so I'm happy with it. I have my RSP comes out every 2 weeks. I've been putting money into my RSP every 2 weeks for the past, as long as I can remember. I transferred to Wealthsimple back in 2020 and just carried on the same amount that I put on before. So I just set it up as a basically it's like every 2 weeks on my paycheck, I put in a couple $100 and that's it. And it's just been plugging away. It was down at one point partly because from when I transferred, when I transferred in 2020? No, it was probably 2021 when I transferred it. I'd have to double check and go look. It was when I started it. But of course the investments were up at my other place. So when I transfer them in, you sell them, put them in cash. But so it's from my original, what my original amounts were, they're doing good. And they're both, I'm just trying to think, they're both in the green this year. So they've come back up. It just kind of shows what dollar, not so much the lira, but the like RSP, it just shows what kind of like dollar cost averaging does. If the portfolio is down in last year, it's creeping back up, and just it's in the green again. So happy about it. And the fees are really reasonable for what they do. The fees, that was my biggest reason for switching Jerksey. I've talked about it before, but my fees on the investment accounts were less than half at Wealthsimple. So if you look at that over 20 years, it can be quite substantial if you actually work out what you're saving in fees. My fees are about roughly about a third of what they were before. So. MC, good point there. I will read the rest of your comments. It gets cut off sometimes for long comments, but there is a debate. Yeah, you can read that. There's a lot of debate on Twitter about dividends, and whether they matter or not. General consensus is no, and total returns matter most. I would agree with that, but also dividends are psychological, like you said, psychological beneficial than return benefit, and they give you kind of a boost because you kind of see something that's happening in your if you have a monthly dividend ETF or something like that, you see those come in, and it is psychological, definitely. But I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it gives you that it's like that little dopamine hit that you're getting something out of your investments. It makes you feel like that. Whereas if it's just looking for growth and returns, it doesn't always go up like it's like this, where a dividend you get a little bit every time, and there might be some, so I agree with that. It's definitely, but there's some people that want only a dividend. Everybody's different with how they invest, and there's nothing wrong with really doing any. If you're investing, everybody's got their own style, everybody's got their own risk tolerance, everybody's got their own preferences and types of companies they want to own and what they want to do, and I think that's awesome. You can do, everybody is free to do exactly, whatever they want with their money. There's probably no right or, there's maybe better ways to do things, but if you have a feeling that you want to do it a certain way, nothing wrong with that. So, yeah, interesting time. But yeah, robo-advisor can easily be displaced by all-in-one ETFs and a cheap brokerage. It definitely, it would be cheaper. I like it because I have enough to pay attention to. Like, it comes down to, like you say, I mean, not necessarily very lazy investor, but there's only so much time you can spend and manage to do that. And I find the one thing about what I find about the robo-advisor, if you set up your regular deposits and your regular purchases, you let it do its thing, it will work for you, right? The flip side of it with the self-directed one is sometimes your own emotion. We've talked about it before. Like, sometimes your own emotions and that will get in your way, right? Because if you're consciously going in and saying, I want to put in $100, you have to do that unless you start setting it up, right? Like, if you start setting it up on your own to do a lot of the automations in a self-directed, that's great, but that takes time to set up and be onto that. And it's sometimes I find it's nice to have it almost out of sight, not out of sight, out of mind, but not having to pay as much attention to it. So everybody's a little bit different how they like to do it. What I did is I started on the robo-advisor side, then you break away, right? And you start to try and do it yourself, and you learn from it, then you make mistakes, and then and then you maybe get frustrated, and then you start to learn a bit better, and then it's interesting how your portfolios kind of move around a little bit in terms of what you're invested in and where they ultimately go. It's just you have to pick where, how much time you have as well to do it. I enjoy going in every Monday, putting the transfer in. I don't have the transfer set up automatically. I'm consciously going in, making sure I do it, and that works for me. But some people it wouldn't work for, so that's where the robo-advisor would help as well. So. Doing good on your dividend stocks, okay, and not so much on your growth. Yeah, well, that's the thing, and we've been in this giant bear market for 16, 18 months now, it seems like, so the growth stuff's not as great. I mean, really depending when you bought them as well. I mean, some of the stuff is up substantially this year, but it's when you see dividends, it makes you feel good. That's the thing. You get that email, you're like, okay, I've got few bucks in my account. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're doing something on the right track. I get that. Completely get that. I get that, and I think that's why a lot of people like having some dividend paying shares in their portfolio as well. Everybody has that. You get that kind of boost from it, even if it's just psychological. So the TD in the direct investing at TD, it lets you automate the contributions of purchase, so you can save on fees. So probably 0.3% on yearly fees. Not much at 10K, but at 100K or so, it starts to make a difference. And that's the thing. Like, that's where I noticed with moving my stuff to robo-advisor with everything. The fees were the big reason for switching, for sure. So, and then even though I am paying a fee, by it doing its thing and me not getting in the way of it, I think is a benefit for that. Whereas the TFSA was started more for learning. I've learned a lot, and I've also learned I've learned from doing my own self-directed that also it's not necessarily a bad idea to have necessarily both, because sometimes you can let that, you learn to know and learn to know, like sometimes you can get in your own way for certain investments, but it's and on your next is diversification, right? Like the robo-advisor side is like instant diversification. You can choose your allotments, right, in terms of how much equities versus fixed income you want to have. You can make those changes. So how potentially how volatile the portfolios may be. And it will it will help with your allotment. So it's what's shown with that. What I found is it's actually done okay considering the last year and a bit, right? Because it diversifies. It has gold. I mean, the bonds have done terrible, but it also has equities, international equities. So it's got a really good diversification in it, and it's helped with this past year or so, I would think, for sure. Whereas if I was completely in my own, if I had, for example, just apples to apples, instead of investing the amount I put into my RSP and had that going into, say, the exact same type of like my TFSA, I would be down. Whereas on the robo side, it's up a little bit. So it's always interesting. It's always that. With AI getting better, yeah, I think you're right, Candace, on that. There is a Twitter account I'm following. They're doing a portfolio kind of all chosen by AI. I should dig that up and do that as a video. They actually have a $50,000 portfolio down in the States on Robinhood, and they're every week the AI is choosing stocks from that portfolio to buy and possibly sell and that kind of stuff. So they actually signed up for the email, and they're just starting the portfolio. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of follow that along with AI. Definitely interesting. Yeah. And the beauty of XEQT or VEQT, is you own everything. You literally pretty much own everything, and so you never miss out on anything. That's a good way to put it. And I've been I think that's a good one. I'm glad I found that. I found that one through doing these streams from everybody. I think Zach was the big XEQT. I don't know if he's watching, but it's kind of I've been happy with it. That takes a lot of the emotion out of it. That's for sure, because you buy that and it's diversified across equities and across the world. So been happy with that. That's a position I'll be building up on my portfolio for the foreseeable future. We'll see. Yeah, definitely. I saw a clip of it, MC. The interview. I'm going to be watching. That's on my watch list for tonight. I'm going to definitely watch that. He's always interesting to listen to. I did listen to. I don't know if you're at the very beginning, MC. I did listen to and watch the Investor Day from on there. So he was on there. I think it was successful. I think Tesla was doing okay today. It's such a volatile stock, that one, up and down. I think long term. I don't know. I want to add more, but that's just me. Not financial advice to buy anything, but I think what they're doing with what they're doing with like the battery packs and the renewable energy, I think is will be interesting in the future. And also once this, if they can get the self-driving nailed down, I think that will be good as well. It'll be interesting to see. The question and answer at the end of the presentation was also pretty good, I found. Yeah, they kind of hinted on a few things, so always good. And he did do that one. I haven't I haven't seen. These are sitting on my watch list as well. The Bill Maher one, and he did do one with Tucker Carlson. I saw that one, and it's. I haven't watched all the Bill Maher one yet. There's never enough time in the day to watch all these things to come out. I've got all these podcasts and everything else I listen to, and you just don't get enough time in the day. But you sometimes end up getting just clips and bits and pieces of it from different places. So it's always there's never a shortage, definitely never a shortage of something to watch somewhere on YouTube or whatever, on investing or on that kind of thing. There we go. I love how these conversations just kind of keep going. It's always good. It makes these live streams go definitely quickly. I didn't actually have an article to pull up, so if anybody, again, as you know, fire away. We'll see how he goes. Candace, I gave ChatGPT a chance to do better. Why do unicorns make terrible stockbrokers? Because they always go for pie in the sky investments. Literally, they're still trying to figure out cloud computing. There you go. It's true. You got to sometimes maybe avoid these pie in the sky investments, but they're always kind of fun to look at. There's a lot of interesting companies out there. That's for sure. It's just figuring out. The hard part is it comes down to a lot of luck when you get things, and it's don't risk what you can't afford to lose on certain things. We know, everybody, I think, hopefully watching this knows that, but it's there's always these ones to look at that you kind of like, you think, oh, that's interesting. There's lots of like interesting companies out there that are trying to do great things. Whether or not they do them or not is another story. One thing I did find interesting, though, back to Tesla with the investor day, is they've kind of announced that they're going to try a little bit of advertising, which would be, I think, maybe good. So that was one thing that kind of came up. They kind of teased on also their new two new vehicles coming in the next little while. A little while for Elon could be 5 years, who knows? But there is kind of, I guess the rumors are it's obviously like a smaller subcompact, less expensive car, which would be interesting. That would be something I might actually look at in that price range when I eventually need a new car. And also they were mentioning, what the heck else did he mention? That was the only one I think that had caught my mind. So MC was listening to Burton. I can't pronounce that. I'm going to pronounce that last name wrong. McHale's Random Walk Down Wall Street. Very great book. It's about 50 years old now, but still very relevant with amazing investment lessons. Interesting. I'm going to copy that one down. You always find these good ones. Burton, Random Walk Down Wall Street. A Random Walk Down Wall Street. Interesting. What's interesting, I find, though, is you read these old interviews. You might see like an old interview from even Warren Buffett or something like that online, or read old articles from things, and it's really interesting how things really repeat, right? And the same has some of the same relevance to today, even though things were written 50 years ago or sometimes even more. I do find that really, really interesting, and it's good to remember that as well, because you have these times in the past where it's like the end of the world, right? And we think everything's going to be over, and just for everything to kind of go, you have to remember everything is in cycles, right? And it eventually that cycle changes and gets better. But it's hard when you're stuck in this, like, we're stuck in this if we're stuck with our investments that are down. It can be frustrating, but you just have to look at you look back, and then you think about looking forward. Things will come around, right? As we're there. back again, talking maybe way too much about Tesla and the investor day, but Elon was saying one of the questions and when answering for that, and he's predicting a rough 12 months for essentially car sales, but his as he's talking about it, and it makes sense, is it's every company is going to have I think a rough go for the next 12. He's saying 12 months. Could be long, could be shorter, could be longer. Who knows? But it's just I guess to know is there's cycles, right? It comes back. Investing basics never change. They don't, right? It's like we sound like broken. We sound, we talk about, a lot of times we talk about the same thing all the time, but they don't change, right? They don't change. Best advice is generally buy a broad index base and just hold it. Even Buffett says S&P. Yeah, because although most investors will say broader diversification is preferable. So if you have something that's a broad, you just so Buffett says S&P only, but a lot of other advisors say broader diversification is preferable. I saw a chart, MC. I should have saved it. It was along those lines, and it was saying, had you just invested in S&P, had the chart, and then had you invested in the globe essentially, and the globe outperformed. That could maybe not be the same in the future, but that's kind of what it looked at. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with diversification, as we know. You'll see less. We'll see less volatility in the in our portfolios. It's hard. Can't forget though. This is like this past year and a bit now. It's been terrible, right? I mean, usually when the market's down, if you had some diversification into fixed income and bonds, that would cushion that decrease. But it's just everything was terrible. I mean, if you look at if anybody has any type of investment that's like on say the robo advisor side or and it's diversified like across with any portion with bonds in it, it's terrible. Like I think the bonds on my Lira are down something like, at one point they were down probably 25%. Like it's just it's just bad. It was just bad. And it's hard to know. It's hard to know, but it's just, again, it's cycles. It'll come back, and you just have to dollar cost average and carry on with your plan. That seems to work. And like you said, invest is a broad market. Hold it forever. Don't try and outsmart anything, and hold, and you'll be hopefully set up for the future. So there we go. Thanks, everybody. These were always fun. Coming up towards the end. So lots of people, if you haven't liked the stream yet, like the stream. It always helps it out. If you're new, don't be afraid. Again, don't be afraid to say hi. Good group of coffee crew here. It's always appreciated everybody tuning in. Good start to the morning. Gets my day. Gets me motivated for the day. I would say these streams. So it's always nice to tune in, chat, and see how people are doing, how they're feeling, and it's nice because everybody kind of has a lot of the same feelings, a lot of the same opinions, and it makes in terms of investing. Sometimes investing can be like a really, I don't want to say lonely, but sometimes it can be like you're questioning maybe what you're doing, and it's nice to talk to other people that have the same challenges and but also successes, and hearing about this. And it's always good. That was the years, MC. As you see that there was 2000 to 2010, international did better. And again, seasons change and recency bias is real. So yeah, that was it. I think it was between I think it was kind of like 1990 to 2000. I have to dig that up. It showed up on my Twitter. I should bookmark these things to share on the community tab of the channel. I will next time. I'll get better at that. And it was just interesting. Just kind of shows what to stick with the plan and be consistent. Don't invest in anything you can't afford to necessarily lose, but also diversify is the big thing. Don't put anything in in a unicorn. Don't put everything you own in a unicorn stock. It's if you're in it for the long term, you'll do well by just being as, I think, boring as possible. Yeah. So There we go. The lost decade, 2000 to 2010. Yeah, because they had the .com. There was the .com that was terrible, and then 2000, obviously 2008 was terrible. And well, now we'll probably come back. We'll look back in 10 years and say that 2020s were terrible as well, probably at the rate we're going. But we'll be consistently investing through there on the way out. There we go. Thanks everybody for tuning in, coming up to the end here. I do appreciate it. If you haven't hit the like button. I'll have a stream scheduled for tomorrow. We'll get back on there and have another chat tomorrow. It's always good. These conversations are fun. We made it through make it through the rest of the day. We made it through hump day. Weekend is in sight. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Do really appreciate it. I got to go to work now. Wherever you're up to today, enjoy it. If you can get out for the sun, it's sunny here. Try and get out for a little walk today. And if you can get outside and enjoy the sunshine as I turn off too early. Hopefully you can too. And take care, everybody. Happy